There cannot be a more powerful tefillah than someone who is davening to have a child. Years and years of waiting, and Yitzchak is davening intensely to be granted that child. I'm sure there were tears, emotion, and much more. The Pasuk tells us that Yitzchak davened lenoichach, opposite his wife Rivka, and it worked. She became pregnant. Rashi explains lenoichach by telling us that Yitzchak and Rivka davened in opposite corners of the room. They both davened, but the Pasuk clearly tells us that Hashem listened to Yitzchak's tefillahs. What was wrong with Rivka's? They both desperately wanted a child. Rashi answers, his tefillahs were accepted because you simply cannot compare the tefillahs of a tzaddik, the son of a rasha, and the tefillahs of a tzaddik, the son of a tzaddik. A little unfair to say the least. Why should Rivka's tefillahs be ignored because her father was a rasha? How does that make any sense? The answer could be that a tzaddik whose father was a rasha has something over a tzaddik whose father was a tzaddik. And that is the enthusiasm and excitement to do what they are doing. They didn't grow up with it. They chose it. It's exhilarating. By someone whose father is a tzaddik, grew up with it. It can almost be robotic. So Hashem listened to Yitzchak's tefillahs because he was a tzaddik ben tzaddik, son of Avraham Avinu, and yet he still had the geschmack and excitement in his tefillahs. That means more to Hashem than a tzaddik ben rasha. Yossi was a solid, good-hearted Yerushalmi Yid, minyan, kashrus, Shabbos and tefillin. He did everything right. But inside, he knew the truth. He was running on autopilot. He davened every day the same speed, the same tone. He wore tefillin every day, the same motions, the same knots. He kept the mitzvahs, but the feeling, the fire, the aliveness had quietly faded. He always thought to himself, at least I'm doing the mitzvahs. Isn't that enough? It was a regular Tuesday a number of years ago in Yerushalayim, and Yossi was late for work. He rushed off without putting on tefillin, something he hadn't done in 22 years. He didn't panic. He'd put them on later. But later never came. Meetings, bank appointments, the day just passed in a blur, and by the time he remembered, it was almost sunset. He raced home through traffic up the steps to open the cabinet where his tefillin are always kept. The box was gone. Completely gone. He searched like a madman, every drawer, every shelf, under every bed. Nothing. It's as if the tefillin vanished from the world. Just then, a neighbor banged on the door. Fire, fire, on the roof, everybody outside. People ran screaming into the street, smoke bellowing from the top of the building. Yossi froze. His tefillin was on the roof because the night before he was preparing for Sukkot and he had taken them upstairs and forgotten them there. The fire trucks arrived, flames dancing across the rooftop. Everything was burning, and Yossi stood there, shaking, whispering, Hashem, my tefillin. For the first time in years, he felt what tefillin means. He felt their holiness. He felt how casual he'd become. When the fire was finally put out later, the roof was a black smoking ruin. Metal twisted, wood scorched, plastic melted into nothing. Yossi climbed up the stairs slowly with the firefighter's permission, knowing what he would find. Not tefillin, just ashes. But in the corner, untouched by the flames, sat a single, unburned, perfectly preserved tefillin bag. It wasn't even singed. Everything around it was black. This one bag was shining clean. The fire chief, not a religious man, stared and whispered, I've never seen anything like this. Everything within 2 meters burned except for that. Yossi picked up the tefillin. They were warm, but intact. He clutched them to his chest and began to cry sobs from the deepest place. And in that moment, he felt the fire that had been missing for so many years, not the fire on the roof, but the fire in his soul that had been reignited. That's the message of this week's Parsha. It's a message that talks to every single one of us, not only those that wear tefillin, but for anything that we do. Yiddishkeit cannot be stale, robotic, or casual. Holy things have to stay alive, treated like treasures, not habits. Have an amazing Shabbos.